night, everyone. We have a small announcement. We set up a Patreon account and PayPal account. So if you need a good reason to stop on coffee drinking habit and improve your health while helping our independent work, we give you that opportunity. We're definitely not asking you to take money from your children or spend the last penny that you have on us. Only if you have anything extra that you're willing to spend on us. The link to Patreon account is in the video description, and for PayPal, you should be able to find our email, and that's what you can use to send money to us, if you want to, obviously. Okay, so this is update for March 28, 2022, day 33 of the war, end of the date update. As always, we're going to start in a clockwise fashion by first looking at what's going on in the north around city of Kyiv, which is capital of Ukraine. So here we identified another brigade. It's a 155th Naval Infantry Brigade. The way we identified this brigade actually was awarded honorable sort of name called Guards Brigade now. So what this really means that this brigade is extremely exhausted and lost quite a bit of its manpower, and it's probably at this point only capable of limited defensive action, nothing more than that. And we're actually believing that it's probably being pulled out of the northwest of Kyiv. We also have confirmation from local sources that there is a significant traffic from this area towards north. This is probably related to our earlier mentioning that Russian army is pulling one of the regiments from 98th Airborne Division due to heavy losses. It's possible that they're also pulling out 11th Airborne Brigade and 31st Airborne Brigade, which also suffered heavy losses. All we know is there's definitely heavy traffic towards north from here. Well, if this remains to be seen, if this is actually maybe even a bigger move than just withdrawal of the units that suffered heavy casualties. We also saw here in this area of Makariv extensive use by Russian forces of multiple rocket launching systems. And that really looked to us very much like attempt to disengage by heavily bombarding Ukrainian forces so they're not able to pursue retreating Russian troops. But this is obviously, our potentially incorrect interpretation of what's going on here. All we know, there was a lot of rockets shelled at Ukrainian positions here in the area of Kopeliv and Matizhin. We don't know if there is more to it. To the east of Kyiv, there were probing attacks by 90th Division towards town of Borispil here, which were repelled. So those the significance of Borispil is because it has a main international airport for Kyiv. This is, if you can see, this is actually international airport here. So this probably somewhat doesn't jive with what we're seeing on the western side of Kyiv. So we're not sure what's going on here. We just wanted to share things that with factual information, and we'll see what happens next there. Now let's look what's going on here near Sumy, where Ukrainian 93rd Brigade attacked Russian forces of the 2nd Mechanized Division and pushed them a little bit. So the situation is kind of stable. Ukrainian forces hold a town of Trostyanets. Russian troops hold a town of Boromlia. We believe there is a chance that they will try to counterattack, meaning Russian troops, but there is nothing on that situation yet. Situation around Kharkiv, this is just positional fighting, really not much much to report here in a real meaningful way. In Izyum, there is still a problem. There is big problem for Ukrainian side there. So as we mentioned before, Russian troops managed to establish bridgehead in the village of Kamenka. So they control village of Kamenka, and then they trying to expand it. And then, first of all, they're attacking in the southern direction, but we're also hearing now that they're also attacking in southwestern direction and more like western direction as well. So basically, they want to like fully break out of this bridgehead, which is already quite big because they captured village of Sukha Kamenka, and there is tiny village here where there is this white circle is. So it's very clear that Ukrainian troops having hard time containing Russian troops here, and Russian troops are actively, aggressively pursuing ability to expand from this bridgehead. The significance we'll discuss a little bit later. In terms of who controls town of Izyum, so technically Russian troops, because they control northern part, which is majority of the town, and where the center of the city of the town is, administrative buildings and all that stuff. So technically you can say that they control it, and that's why they say that they control town of Izyum. However, from a defensive perspective, it's the northern part is kind of irrelevant. What is relevant is the southern part of Izyum, which commands higher ground about the whole area here, and so you can shell anyone here, and it's excellent defensive position. So it's still being controlled by Ukrainian army. We don't know how long, given this whole situation with this bridgehead, because they could be easily cut off here if Russian troops try to just link up with their own troops somewhere in Donetsk or Topolsky village. So both, we don't have any current news from either side, so it's being super secret, but we understand that there is extremely heavy fighting going on here in this whole area. And let's actually look right now again why it is important. So if let's say Russian 47th division, and probably will be joined by 37th brigade and maybe some other units. And by the way, the 12th engineering brigade here, this is actually this is how 47th division established pontoon bridges. It's actually with the help of the 12th engineering brigade, so it's actually here. So the significance of the whole, like what Russian troops want to do, they want to just kind of cut towards south, somewhere like around here, probably a little bit push in this direction to kind of protect their flanks. But even, the 47th Tank Division is a large unit. We don't think that there is enough forces to truly kind of cut towards the bottom of this whole potential pocket. It's just way too many Ukrainian troops. And a lot of them are pretty strong, like battle-tried units, such as 95th Brigade, 79th Brigade, 24th, 30th, 128th. These are pretty strong brigades that can fight pretty well. So we think what's at play here is kind of like psychological play to scare Ukrainian general staff to withdraw troops under the threat of potential encirclement, to withdraw troops to this kind of line here. You see on the border of Dnipropetrovsk and Donetsk region. So that would allow Russian troops to completely capture Donetsk region and Luhansk region. And that's kind of what they named as their immediate goal so far in this whole war at this point. So that would allow them to say, okay, we achieved what we wanted, and that's it. We're done with this whole war, potentially. This is just one of the thoughts about this. And the rest, they want to control this whole area here as their bridge to Crimea, right? So land bridge to Crimea. So they just plan to eliminate Ukrainian resistance here. And they essentially would be happy with the way it looks right now, because then they achieved what they need, immediate goals. So this is a situation here. There is ongoing fighting around town of Severodonetsk. No major progress by Russian troops. Kind of the same. The same is true for town of Popasna, which is here, and then here around west of Donetsk. Also, not much success for attacking Russian troops, even though they made progress in the village of Mar'inka, but they never managed to totally penetrate Ukrainian line there. So we actually can now look. We created a little bit more detailed map of what's going on in this line between Zaporizhia and Vuhledar. So Vuhledar is in Ukrainian hands, even though even like 10 days ago, Russian troops claimed that they already captured Vuhledar. Vuhledar is in Ukrainian hands. Then we know that Russian unit, 503rd Regiment of the 19th Division, tried to attack Ukrainian stronghold of Gulaipole. It wasn't successful, was repelled. Per our information here, it's all defended just by Ukrainian militia. So we don't have much information on if there are any actually regular Ukrainian army units here. And here it's totally kind of mystery for us from both sides, Ukrainian and Russian, what's going on here in this small section. It looks totally kind of like no man's land, and it's very unclear what's going on here. In terms of situation in around Mariupol, in our opinion, after Ukrainian resistance stops here, the units that participated in the attack on Mariupol will not be used to attack towards north because they suffered very heavy casualties. So we believe that they just will be able to do just limited defensive duties. And they will need major refit after this. All Russian troops can rely on is basically this 503rd Regiment, because we haven't seen the rest of the two other regiments of the 19th Division. So we only saw this one and the 42nd Division here to attack. So let's actually maybe look a little bit more what's going on in Mariupol. What we know is that now we understand better why Russian troops changed axis of attack towards kind of more southeast yesterday. Turns out that their like immediate goal right now is a main railroad station here in Mariupol. So they managed to push quite far towards this goal. They haven't captured it yet, but they moved quite far. And just for the reference, they control that theater that was bombed at this point. So essentially, they control a significant portion of the central part of the city at this point. On the eastern side, they managed to move somewhat here, but not really actually surprisingly much. There's actually very little progress here. And this actually road, this is actually more or less correct. Majority of this road is still in Ukrainian hands and controlled by Ukrainian troops here. So this is in a short situation in Mariupol. Obviously, it's very difficult for Ukrainian troops because they're running low on all kind of supplies, everything, right? Fuel, ammunition, water, food, everything is getting low. So let's now look at what's going on in the area around Makariv here. So there were some questions from subscribers saying, oh, well, there is some kind of Ukrainian counteroffensive here from Makariv towards Kherson. That's actually not true. There's no really any kind of true counteroffensive. So what happened here is, in a way, it's kind of like a cat and mouse game here between Russian and Ukrainian troops, where Russian troops were probably suffered heavy casualties in the prior fighting, and they just kind of little withdrew towards the border of Makariv and Kherson region. So, and Ukrainian troops just came in and just took open, positions, the positions that Russian troops left. So it wasn't true offensive. It's kind of like, in a way, let's say, Ukrainian troops politely squeezed Russian troops. Out of these units here, we know for sure that 126th Brigade also received guards in its name. That really means that suffered heavy losses and casualties. And again, we mentioned this before, that it's only capable of limited defensive action. The same goes true probably for 205th Brigade, and then this 10th Special Forces Brigade. So the fresh and new units, and kind of like a spearhead here right now is the 7th Brigade that was pulled from Georgia, Abkhazia. That's basically also kind of tells you that Russia is scraping bottom of the barrel, because it's pulling its occupational forces from other countries. And also 20th Brigade, that is potentially part of the larger unit division, and the 7th Airborne Division, but it's also kind of at this point suffered meaningful losses, let's put this way. We don't know exactly, but it's been fighting here from the very beginning. We can imagine that it's not in the best of the shape right now here. So that's it for today, and until tomorrow, thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.